Welcome back to the Afternoon Express kitchen, where Dumi is about to walk us through a delicious dessert. Now, Dumi, we're doing a little bit differently today, right?
Yeah, so if anyone that knows me knows, I'm a lover of chocolate brownie and ice cream. That's probably one of my favorite desserts to eat. And I'm constantly looking for ways to enjoy it, but just in different styles and ways.
Girl, I don't blame you.
So I figured, why not have my cake and eat it too? So instead of just making a chocolate brownie that I'm going to serve with ice cream, how's about I have a chocolate brownie ice cream cake?
I love that. So we're essentially going to divide this recipe into two parts.
Correct.
We're going to actually make the ingredients and make the different layers and textures and all the flavors. That's what we're incorporating in part number one. And then part two, we're going to be assembling. So let's get into part one. Let's create the magic.
Correct. So to start it all off, on my side, Mo and I, we are Team A. We're going to be making the cake batter. So basically the chocolate brownie base. We've got our dry ingredients, some flour, cocoa powder. I've got some eggs, brown sugar, white sugar. Sweet.
I love it.
Some vanilla essence and some butter that's been melted but cooled. So we want it soft. You can have it at room temperature if that's the option. The whole idea is you don't want it to be hard. And then on your side, you've got some dark chocolate.
Team B, Team B. I mean, you want to make a big deal about being Team A. So what's our name? Put some respect on it.
Team A plus.
Thank you.
Oh. Yeah. You've got some dark chocolate, some sweetened condensed milk, and some cream, which you're going to pour in there. So you'll chop your chocolate first. And then Anela's going to chop some nuts for us. We've got some walnuts. You've got the option to use any kind of nuts you'd like. You can even use peanuts because chocolate and peanut go very well together. So that's another option.
I've got a question for what is this? What are you going to use this for?
Yes, thank you for asking. And now we're going to be making a chocolate fudge sauce that's basically going to go on top of the decadence of the chocolate brownie itself. So if it wasn't already decadent enough.
You're not playing with the sweetness, let me tell you.
At all. I mean, and also talk about the pressure, because you know a cake is as good as its icing, its sauce, that cherry on top essentially. So girl, challenge accepted. We're about to take on Team A plus. Okay, I'm going to start chopping up my chocolates.
Yeah, so in essence, Balza, I know a lot of people always want to know how do I get my chocolate brownie nice and moist in the center? Yeah. The problem is people work a lot of air into it, creating a lot of air bubbles into the actual batter. The whole idea is to avoid that. Most times when you're making cake, you want to fold. Same concept with brownie, but in this instance, I'm not sure if you noticed, we don't have any raisin agent. We don't have any baking powder, baking soda, because we don't want air in it. We want it to be nice. This is the one time you want something stodgy, because you want that
was
fudginess.
about to say, Udumi, every time she's in the kitchen, she's talking about it being light,
aerated.
Being flavored, it be aerated. So now, essentially, we're not running away from the word stodgy. In fact, we're running towards
it. Correct. This is the one time you want that fudginess on the center and that gooiness. When you cut into it, it's like a fudge that just, falls apart.
Can I tell you guys something? I don't like chocolate brownies. I'm sorry.
Unpopular opinion.
I know. For me, it's just like too sweet, and that's why I like you bringing the ice cream in, because it's gonna just cool it down a bit. And it's for me like very stodgy. I do like the more airy.
Fluffy, yeah.
I don't know, Mo, how do you feel? Do you like brownies?
I'm here for the brownies. I absolutely love it. And I like that you're using two different types of sugar.
Correct.
They play different roles, like the white sugar and the brown sugar.
Talk us through that.
Yeah.
Well, in essence, the brown sugar creates that caramelization that you want and that flavor that goes into it. And yes, both of them create the sweetness, but that brown sugar is also that base for the caramelly, fudgy flavor taste that we want in there.
Lots of decadence going in here. Do you want me to crack the eggs?
Yes. So now the heavy work goes in. In this part, because we don't have any of the dry ingredients yet, I can actually elbow grease it, go crazy. That's fine. But once we add our flour and our dry ingredients, then we switch completely from the whisk onto our spatula. Okay, Mo, I'm going to ask you just to go a little bit slower.
Okay.
That is the difficult part, because you don't want the mixture to split, eh?
Correct.
That's the difficult part.
So it's one egg at a time and then mix in between.
Correct, in essence, yeah. The whole idea for that is you also want the egg to be fully incorporated in there, and also it actually lightens up the batter as you're cooking.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know if you've ever made choux pastry, where you also just add one egg at a time.
Yes.
So it's that concept.
I mean, I must be honest, baking and myself, no, we're not great friends. So
Yeah, me as well. Thanks, Mo.
I'm always learning for the first time.
The other day, actually, for the very first time, I know right now we're creating Dumi's genius here, essentially making a chocolate brownie ice cream cake. But what I tried the other day for the first time ever, please don't judge me, Mzansi, in the middle of a pandemic, I made banana muffins, and boy, did they come out amazingly.
I saw that, and
yes.
I was like, this girl. Maybe one day we should have a cook along with Palace.
Yes,
Like, so guys, this is what you do. Because they looked amazing, I have to say.
Girl, they tasted amazing, but I essentially can identify with the idea that you've brought up here about not using a raising agent. Instead, just wanting that mixture to create that stodgy decadence that you can enjoy, whether it's dessert or whether you're having it in the middle of the day, essentially.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about it. So, Dumi, you've put that together quite nicely. I've already switched on my stove here.
Yeah.
I put it on about 7, that's like a medium heat,
okay.
just to get it going. My chocolate Mzansi is all chopped up, and then of course we're going to be assembling in our pot as we go.
Correct. You can actually get started with that, where you add your chocolate. All that chocolate that's over there, Palisa, I wasn't lying. We're talking about decadence, so we want all of that dark chocolate chopped. All of it is going into that saucepan over there. And I don't know if people actually realize, when we're making this kind of recipe as well, I just want to move along quickly.
Yeah.
With the eggs, because we've got eggs and there's egg whites in here as well, when we're whisking it, we're also still creating a bit of bubbles through the egg whites that are in there. So that's why we also sort of don't need a raising agent, because the egg whites work or basically do that part for us. But we don't want to raise the cake. We just want to have that matte crust on the outside and beautiful soft texture on the inside. So Mo, I think it is your, oh yes.
The vanilla essence,
Thank you.
Does that go in now?
Thank you very much.
I mean, I usually add that, like, you know, as just before it goes into the oven.
Yes.
That's when I typically add, because I forget.
Wow.
Yeah, I get you. But also, that's another thing where you don't want to add your vanilla essence in too quickly or too early, because then it basically defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Go in, my friend.
Go in with it. Okay, so is this a little bit at a time?
You can go in, it's fine, because I'm going to elbow grease this into the next segment, because this is a whole lot of work now.
I know, essentially, Dumi, this is the reason why we had to just split up this recipe, because we don't want to fast forward, you know, and skip any important steps when making this delicious cake of yours, Dumi. We want to be able to understand the process and everything that goes into it. Essentially here, same with my sauce, you know, the pan is heating up. That does take some time. And also, Dumi told me that I need to always keep my eye on the sauce, making sure that we don't overburn this. So essentially, we've got so much more to look forward to coming up.
Correct, Balissa. So we're going to put the final touches to our cake, put this into the cake tin, bake it off, and then finish up the rest of our cake.